Hello and welcome to Tiny Table Talk for The Challenge All-Stars Season 3, Episode 5. And with everything that happened in this past week's episode, we got a lot to go over, starting with this season of The Challenge. We have seen that Jonna and MJ have gotten really close with each other. This goes back even to last season of All-Stars 2, where Jonna and MJ struck up this alliance with each other. They were tag teaming a lot of daily challenges with each other. They decided to be partnered up when the format changed from individual to pairs. And now coming into this season, they are closer than ever. We've seen Jonna braiding MJ's hair multiple times in this season so far. And now we have Beth coming into the game and laying it out there that Jonna and MJ are cheating on their spouses or partners with each other in the challenge house. Now, seeing how close Jonna and MJ are with each other, is there something going on behind the scenes? And we hear from both Jonna and MJ in separate confessionals that nothing is going on, that they are just good friends, that no funny business is happening off screen. Now, whether you believe that or not, I think is up to the interpreter, because Beth seems to be wholeheartedly believing that they are having an affair with each other. It's tough. It's tough for me because without any proof, without any video evidence, without somebody else coming out and saying that, it's hard for me to believe that it's going on. And to just put that out there, put that rumor out there, spill that tea, when that could really harm somebody's family life and put their family life in jeopardy, that's like sick. So I would hope that Beth wouldn't just throw that out there to cause rifts in somebody's relationship and drive a wedge through a family if it's not true. But we don't have any proof that it is true at this moment. And after episode 4's preview, where Beth is shown saying that Jonna is cheating on her husband with MJ, a lot of the cast took to social media calling out Beth. I mean, Naya came out, Veronica came out, Jemmy, Sylvia spoke out about Beth and possibly drive a wedge through her family life. So the other cast members are speaking out. So I feel like if this was 100% true, and somebody else wanted to come out and back Beth's claims up, they would. But it seems like more people are stepping up and against Beth and her claims, which to me feels like if there's no video proof that we're getting on the edit, and more people are stepping up, backing up Jonna instead of Beth's claims, then I'm going to lean on the fact that this isn't real, that Jonna and MJ don't have any canoodling behind the scenes, that they just have this connection and this bond, and they haven't acted on it. But that's just my thought. What do you think about the whole Jonna, MJ, and Beth's claims that they are having an affair with each other? Do you believe that they are? Or do you think that Beth was just throwing out this rumor to set up a power play to help keep her safe for longer? Let me know what you think down in the comments section below. So last week, I gave a gold star to Brad and Kayla and talked about how I commended their games. They were unapologetically playing the game the way they wanted to, that they were playing loyal games. And I really enjoyed Brad stepping up and handing out his sabotage to MJ. And then quickly, how 180 I feel after this episode, where now the game has twisted, where there's not 6 people in the authority, now it's just 2. And the thought that Brad could possibly be going into the elimination and how freaked out he got blew my mind. He was blaming so much of possibly going into this week's elimination on Wes, the plan to give it to Mark. And to me, it's like, Brad, you are most likely not going to win this past week's daily challenge because MJ and Jordan were both teaming up to get you out of the game. So no matter what, I feel like towards the end of this game, Brad was always going to have more rings than Mark, coming down to them being the final 2. And even Wes, who was like, yeah, let's give the win to Mark, was still throwing rings onto Mark's pedestal, instead of keeping it completely clear for him to easily get the win, he was still trying to help out Nehemiah and Brad by throwing some rings onto Mark's board, but Mark still won. This was totally on how Brad was playing the game, and he got hit with a reality check, knowing that he could be called out because now the new rules are if somebody gets voted into the elimination by the authority, they can call out anybody that they want to on the elimination floor. One, I think it was a bluff by MJ. MJ was not going to call Brad down, especially once he got to the game and saw what it was going to be. But Brad's whole game was sinking a sabotage into MJ over and over and over again. And then hearing the twist in the rules, instantly got hit with a major hit with a regret, going like, oh, I shouldn't have sabotaged MJ over and over and over again, even though that was my plan. That was my idea. So now he gets so freaked out because everybody agreed that Mark would get the win. Mark gets the win, and just the whiff of going into the elimination, Brad freaks out. I was really disappointed to see not only Brad feel this way, but Sylvia, Kayla, and Veronica. They have numbers, but they're all freaked out about Beth. Beth. I'll say it one more time. They're freaked out about Beth in elimination. Yes, she won against Kendall, but 9 times out of 10, if Kendall gets a different elimination against Beth, Kendall wins. Yes, you don't want to go see an elimination, but to see how scared players are of just even being thought about going into an elimination was so disappointing. I mean, seeing Jonna and Wes call their own numbers and be confident about it was awesome. And you know what? That's what we want to see on an all-star season. We get too many of these I'm scared to go into an elimination on the main season. So when you're playing the game and you're winning, but all of a sudden, oh, I can't win this one and I might go into an elimination? Get out of here. Like I was really disappointed in some of the gameplay that happened on this past week's episode, because we have Brad and Kayla, who have been killing it in these challenges, now freak out about going against Beth and a hobbled MJ. Really? My gosh. Now time to hand out some gold stars to this week's top performers, and I already mentioned them in a previous topic, and I'm just going to give it out to Wes and Jonna. Neither of them finished relatively high in this week's daily challenge. They finished 5th each, but coming into the elimination, they called their own numbers. They were able to go into elimination, call who they wanted out, took care of business, got extra stars, and I think are in a better power position heading into next week. Because we have Wes, who was trying to get in good with both Mark, Derek, and now Brad. He already had Nehemiah as his number 1. Now Brad is going to be fully like, wow, Wes did that for me. I'm going to be fully trying to help him out throughout the rest of this game. Mark, who is a new Alliance member, is going to be like, wow, Wes would do that to a friend. I want to be his friend. I want him to do that for me. I think Wes really played this really well. He took out not only a very strong player, but a strong player that was gunning after him. So now he takes out a threat that was coming after him and gained a whole bunch of numbers. And Jonna did the same thing. I think Jonna has some alliances with Kayla and Sylvia. Jonna is like a bridge player. She is not the youngest in the cast anymore, but she's not the oldest. So I do think that she is stronger socially with having, saying, Kellyanne and also some of the Treehouse Alliance looking out for her, as well as MJ. But I also think she builds some of that trust with Sylvia and Kayla, taking that burden off of Sylvia. Sylvia has some undecisiveness that we've seen in the game, and now saying, hey, Sylvia, you can throw me in. You don't have to be indecisive. You don't have to get your hands dirty. Throw me in. You can keep Kayla safe, and I'll take out Beth. I think she did the whole house a favor while also doing the most powerful alliance a favor that even gets her up another level. Now let's read some comments from my Thursday's review and recap. And the first comment comes from Sienna, who says, I love the switch up with the format. As do I. Mostly because it gives somewhat of an advantage to the people that get voted in for elimination. Yeah, now you can't have so many of your numbers hidden because there's so many people in the authority. Now if they vote in Kellyanne will try to start picking off their alliance one by one. Taking a shot at Veronica, maybe taking a shot at Ronnie, Sylvia, Kayla, whoever is not in the authority. So this really does put some of the numbers now on their heels a bit. Next comment comes from Kokui or Kakui, saying, such bad strategy by Beth and Jonna this episode. They know every woman except for Nia and Kellyanne are in alliance against them, and they still target each other. I'm willing to give Jonna the benefit of the doubt that she has some deals with a few of the girls we just haven't been shown, but it really makes no sense for Beth to target her instead of Kayla. I do think that Jonna is playing a low-key, very social, very strategic game. We are just not seeing it. They're just showing a lot of MJ and Jonna together. But the way Jonna has been able to win into power the past few weeks without really being targeted, if you think back to the Mud Daily Challenge, she wasn't really targeted. She easily walked in for second place. Nobody was trying to go after her. So I do think that Jonna is playing a very strong social game where she has a lot of deals with a lot of the players, including Kayla and Sylvia. Next comment comes from Morgan, who says, I love how Ronnie stood out this episode. Really liking her on All-Stars. Also, I know everyone loves to hate Wes, but I love that he had no problem stepping up for Brad and then defeated Yes with ease. Talk about Ronnie first. Yes, I love Ronnie stepping up in this daily challenge. She took out Jonna and Kayla. She made it to the top 3, and she had her best finish in a daily challenge to date. I think Ronnie is starting to step up. I love to see the intensity and the passion in her this episode and in this daily challenge, and I hope that we see her get into power very, very soon. And I wouldn't say that Wes beat Yes with ease. It still took 42 minutes, but Wes did a stand-up job about stepping up. Lovable Nikki comes in with a comment saying that edit was weird because Yes seemed to be a part of that conversation as well. This editing was so off the wall, especially when we get to the pre-gaming with the men. Because yeah, I remember seeing Yes and Brad also there talking and coming up with a plan to give Mark the win and go after MJ and Jordan. So it just feels weird. Like I felt like I was missing something. The same thing that happened in last season when we had the 3 truck daily challenge and Brad was just ripping off the boxes. And I just remember leaving that episode going, what was Brad thinking? Clearly you have to untie them. Clearly TJ said to untie them. Come to find out, Brad was like off getting medical treatment and then came back going, what was the instructions? And somebody was just like, oh, don't worry about it. You'll know what to do when you get up there. So I feel like there was something missing in the edit, or we were missing something in the edit. Maybe the conversation happened and they were frankenbiting the conversation of Mark being like, give me the win, give me the authority. And Brad was off doing something else, because it just doesn't make sense when you piece in the conversation where it looks like everybody was there talking and giving and saying, yes, Mark will give you the win, with Brad and Yes there, to where Brad is then in the confessionals at the beginning of the daily challenge going like, we're giving Mark the win? Why wasn't this run past me? Why are we doing this? I don't understand. It's like, I'm confused as the audience member, and I think that's where the janky editing comes in, and I hate that. Tara comes in with a comment saying, I enjoyed the idea behind the daily challenges episode, but I'm overseeing the same people win over and over again. The elimination was a bit lackluster in my opinion, and I do feel like the interference in the eliminations favoring a specific player is incredibly annoying. Wes stays the elimination king, but I was hoping to see MJ leave this episode. I hope Beth isn't invited back with her quitting ratio on the challenge. Yes, 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 and yes. I can't agree enough with every point you make in this comment. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the elimination, the endurance eliminations. We're getting a lot of them, and they're not fun to watch, especially when you just see 2 people pushing in the same peg over and over and over again. I understand what they were going with when coming up with this idea. It just did not execute properly. I did not like this one at all. I wished we have seen MJ leave this episode. I'm getting tired of him, and I agree. I do not want to see Beth back. Lies B comes in with a comment saying, this elimination sucked. It was way too easy to avoid the pegs Why Yes kept trash talking was beyond my comprehension. He just let Wes know where to target Yes, and ultimately that is why Yes lost. Yes, I think, was trying to get into the psyche of Wes, and it just did not work. It wasn't a strategy that was going to work. So I agree that I think him speaking so much and yelling out to Wes really gave away his position, because when you yell, you know exactly where to push the pegs, and we saw Yes get hit in the face a few times, getting a few good clocks to the kisser, you know? Next comment comes from Lorenzo, who says, Wes deciding to go into the elimination was really cool. Didn't think he would do that. Love when he shows moments of loyalty even though he plays a messy game. Brad was alluding to the fact that Wes was making too many deals, and so I do think that Wes could be hitting a very messy spot moving forward into the game, especially if he gets into power and then has to go back on one of his deals or two. But I did love when Wes and Jonna decided to step up, and it was nice that somebody wasn't afraid to call their own number, because I thought with All-Stars, people aren't supposed to be afraid to go into elimination. That's the OG type of way. That's how we used to play back in the day, and come to find out, there are still a lot of players who are really nervous to go into elimination, just the sniff of going into an elimination. And so it was really cool to see Wes step up, and I think he gained a lot of respect from his friends and fellow players, and I think he gained a lot of allies. So I think it was a very smart game move on his part. Magnus comes in with a comment saying, I believe that Wes did a fantastic game move because he got himself into an alliance and showed trustworthiness. I think by doing this, Wes might have given himself a clean road to the final. He has given himself protection in the authority, and he has also made it so that if anybody says his name, they will be the next person on the chopping block. I agree that it was a fantastic game move. However, I don't think this gave him a clean road to the finals. Wes still has a giant target on his back. I still think he has a big possibility of going into an elimination further down the line. Mark has talked about a lot that he wouldn't mind taking more shots at Wes. He wants to work with Wes and keep him on his good side. But if there's a possibility of sending Wes versus Jordan, two very strong competitors, into an elimination against each other, I don't think I would put that past Mark or even Derek, who's a part of the Treehouse Alliance, where a lot of the members are like, we don't want to see Wes and Jordan make it very far into the game. Yes, Wes has Nehemiah, Brad, and he's been on good terms with Jordan as of right now, and as we've seen in the daily challenges, but I wouldn't put past people to take more shots at Wes, especially if he is making a ton of deals and he has to go back on one of those deals and really start to spur it on. So I wouldn't be handing the final ticket to Wes so early in this game. We're only going into episode 6. We're just hit the halfway mark. There's still a lot of game to be played. And the final comment comes from DeAndre Dukes, who says, seeing too many people quit these challenges. I hate it. I mean, there's a lot of people calling it quits. I don't want to see people quit. I don't want to see people be medically DQ'd. I don't want to see people being pulled from the game, and I don't want to see people quit. Hopefully, we leave that in the front half of the season, and we can get on with the second half of the season, and everybody just comes to play, and everybody is all good, and there's no more quitting. But that is it for Tiny Table Talk for this week. What did you think about this episode? Let me know that in the comment section below. What do you think about Wes's move? What do you think about Jonna's move? Do you think they are better placed and positioned moving forward into the game? Or do you think that because they've seen an elimination and they've been called out, maybe their names could come up again? Let me know down in the comment section below. What do you think about MJ and Jonna? Do you think they're having an affair? And what do you think about everybody playing a scared game? Are they playing a scared game, or are they being cautious? Let me know anything and everything down in the comment section below. And I want to give a special shout out, thank you, to everyone who supports me over at patreon.com/angelcakevids. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your generosity. And thank you so much to everyone who is watching this video up to this point. I'll be back very, very soon with more Challenge All-Star 3 content, more challenge content, more content in general. But until then, peace.